5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are we doing? It's a beautiful Tuesday. It's wonderful to be back here with y'all. It has been, it's like, it feels like 2 weeks, but I think it's only been one. But yeah, the Splash and Dish Morning Show. I'm your host, Slide Job Sal. Every Tuesday, or just about every Tuesday morning, we try to get in here and recap the weekend's events coming off of Kansas. I mean, there was quite a bit of action this weekend. We'll come in and try to break some of it down. We had some great truck action, some great cup action. There was also ARCA at Kansas, but I don't know how much we really want to talk about that. But there were some other things that were happening this weekend in the oval track Kansas racing world. I thought we had a good weekend overall. I know a lot of people are going to be excited about the Larson domination. It seems like that was the flavor of the week, as it is so many weeks. You just have a guy who, not a guy, but a team that just comes correct to these mile and a halves. And, you know, if he can stay out in that clean air up at the front, there's really not much that the field has for him. It seemed like the nine. The nine seemed to be the car that had the most for him today. Larson definitely the better driver though. And then Elliott ended up having some trouble on pit road. That kind of goes away. He gets lost in the middle of the pack, never gets that clean air again. Can't be as fast as he wants to be again. So late on it looked like the Fords had something for him. The 22 and the 12 really kind of bided their time. They waited. It's going to get to the front and worked hard on that last restart to keep track position. But it was just like unreal to watch Larson every single restart, especially the restarts there toward the tail end, just drive off. It's like he had an extra 2 cylinders in it or something. I don't know, but it was one of the better, more dominant performances we've seen. This is like one of the first times in recent memory you get a driver who sits on the pole, wins both stages, and leads more than 85% of the laps. So he was absolutely just on a heater. Was interesting to see guys try to make moves around him, especially in the middle of the pack as they tried to get toward the front. And then ultimately guys who tried to make moves to stay from becoming a lap down. We saw Noah Gragson take some evasive action to not go a lap down. Guys like Carson Hocevar try not to go a lap down throughout the race. But there was a lot in this race that was really, I thought it was an entertaining race, 4 or 5 wide, guys beating and banging, popping off the wall. It was an interesting day overall for sure. And as good as as interesting, I don't know, was it good? Was the Kansas race good? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I think it was good. It felt like it was good. But that's why we're here, is to hear what everyone else thinks, because I sit and watch the races kind of isolated. So definitely going to be interesting to see, what the public perception is. I saw Gluck's poll was kind of like 53% good. What's up, Adrian? It is a great day to have a great day, man. I'll tell you what, we're going to get torqued up Tuesdays, ready to spin them. Once you have a race like last spring, it's hard to top it. Yeah, I think the expectation was a little high. This whole weekend kind of, the expectation wise, reminded me a lot of Atlanta, where they had that super close finish there with Suarez and Busch and Blaney, and then everybody thought that's what we were going to get every single Atlanta race. And it's like, well, it's not going to go like that every single time. It's not going to be that way every time they come to the track. So I think that's true for Kansas. I think Kansas, I was listening to the teardown. I try to intake as much from other folks in the media to really try to understand some perspectives. And I really liked the way Jeff Gluck kind of was sitting on it, where you have to tailor that expectation, and it has to be something where you understand this is still a track that's worthy of being in a championship rotation. And I think it is Kansas. I think, alongside of places like Homestead, even Texas or other mile and a halves, Las Vegas, I think there's a lot of opportunity for this track. Now, they keep filling with the cars and they keep wanting to add aero, take away aero, add power, take away power. It's obvious that Hendrick has something going on here that other teams don't. And I think if you're shielded to that idea, you're just kidding yourself. They have something figured out with this next gen car that is allowing them to run the way that they run. And I know they have they have a deep engineering department that, does everything they need, researches everything they need. And they are the best team in NASCAR right now. Morning, Chief. Yes, they easily could have finished 1, 2, 3, 4. They had the best cars all day long. Even the 48, people talk about the 40. Is the 48 the fourth car at Hendrick? The 48 was blazing quick today. Again, Byron, if he doesn't end up with that flat, I think he ends up hanging around the front all day long. The only thing I felt like maybe could have disrupted a Hendrick dominant day, beside the natural things that did happen, was Penske. They always try to do something. I thought. Oh, hold on. I thought all the cars were the same. Why are people still saying they have the best cars? What's different? So if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And Hendrick are absolutely the most creative innovators in the field. And whether that means something really small in aero or really small, anywhere on the car, because the rules are not like black and white. There's tolerances, and teams push those tolerances as far as they can. And what you end up getting with some of the bigger teams like Hendrick, who have the resource to go out there and really push the boundaries, and not just build a car that's better, within those tolerances, they also have the best drivers on the track for the most part. I mean, William Byron, one of the most consistent, the babyface assassin, William Byron. Alex Bowman has been, people talk a lot of smack, but he's been one of the best drivers. Chase Elliott and then Kyle Larson, dominant drivers. So I'm trying to read the comments and talk at the same time. So give me a second here. It's early. They have the alliances with the smaller teams too, so they're able to set the cars up a little bit more effectively. Yes, that's absolutely true. And it helps that, it helps they have the best drivers. People are getting DQ'd for spoiler spacers, but I doubt Hendrick is doing anything crazy. I can say to you with confidence that they are absolutely pushing the tolerances on their cars from an aerodynamic standpoint. I think you'd be surprised to the smallest little things make such a tremendous difference, especially in clean air. We saw that a lot yesterday at Kansas. As soon as Larson could get out in front, it was over. He never left the front. We never had to see him drive through the field. He just stayed at the front all day long. Versus, we saw the 9 have to try to charge back through the field. And once you get in that dirty air, Larson was ahead at one point by almost 3 seconds. So getting that advantage, that aero advantage, being out front like that is huge at a mile and a half track like Kansas. So not everyone can do it the way that Hendrick does it. Not everyone has the resource. Like when I was down there recently, like you walk through some of those, you walk through the campus and you it looks like a clean room, like you're gonna go get surgery done. It there are teams of engineers for each car. You have to see it to understand it, and then I don't know. There's some interesting things that they do to give themselves an advantage. They're definitely finding something. I remember when they all four cars got in trouble for 2 years. I mean, the most recent like big deal with Hendrick was when they were cheating at Phoenix, when they were altering single source parts. That's the last one, the last big one I remember, because that was a big penalty that they had to take. But they're always trying to do something to get it through tech that NASCAR isn't going to flag them for. Um, I now this conversation is not to take away from anything that Larson did this weekend or any of the Hendrick drivers did this weekend. They still had to go out there and beat, you know, 38 other cars or 34 other cars. Um, and it's the rest of the field's fault that they are as dominant as they are, because other teams aren't coming correct. You think Roger Penske and Team Penske can't come and give them give them some smoke? They just got to sit down at the table and figure out what they're doing better than they are, and come back to it again. The dirty areas is really, really, really a big factor. Yes, the aerodynamics. Everything in this car is aerodynamically driven because the power is the same. So if that's the only real place you're gaining an advantage is, the drivability of the car in terms of tight, loose, free, and so on, and then you know the aerodynamic advantages. Yeah, the fourth car. Who is the fourth car at Hendrick? That's been like the talk of the talk a lot. And I mean, for me, I I think I think Bowman has been having a better year than Chase Elliott. I think Bowman has had a better year this year. Um, I think you see Bowman get his win this year again. People are like, "Oh, the 48's not going to." I think he is. The Bowman Elliott debate is great because it's Hendrick fans that end up turning on themselves. Twitter is the best place for these debates. It's the best. NASCAR Twitter. You ever really want to get people fired up? You can start this debate on there. I think they're both great. They both prove they're great because they run for the best team in the series. That's really my take on it. You know, I don't think either of those drivers are going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, if you talk about it from a personality perspective, Chase Elliott's got the personality of a wet noodle for the most part, but that's not what they pay him for. Uh, they pay him to go out there and run in the top 5 in points. They go out there to pay him to run to the front of the field. So that's what he does for the most part. I think if Elliott wasn't at Hendrick, he would have been done already. That is not true. That is not true. He would no. I think he would absolutely, if he left Hendrick tomorrow, he would absolutely find success elsewhere. Might not be the same level of success, but he can drive the car. It's not like he's just this like baby, this baby man child that needs Hendrick to build him the best car for him to be competitive. He can be competitive just on talent. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Yeah, if Austin Dillon has a ride, Chase would be fine. That's so true. That is true. I think Chase wants to do whatever he wants to do. I think Chase is going to be one of those guys, though, that when his career is over and his time is done, that'll be it for him. It'll be back home to Georgia, and he'll live his life and have a whatever kind of life he wants to have. Um, It's true with a lot of drivers where there's been a big push for this alumni push to get drivers back involved with the sport. But, I don't think Chase Elliott would be one of those guys that just hangs around and is an advocate for an advocate for the sport. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to want to be involved off the track as much to really make me feel confident that, like we've done 2 of these NASCAR full speed documentaries and we've seen 0 of Chase Elliott, and he's the most popular driver every year. So I don't know if it's, he's burnt out for off track stuff, or if he just wants to have a very private life. Yeah, similar to Carl Edwards. It just kind of backs himself up off the camera when he's not on the track, which you got to respect. I mean, there is a lot that you have to do. I mean, they're giving people those drivers these marketing points every time they go on a podcast, or every time they do something, they get like money. So that's why Chase did some early season promotion where he was doing podcasts and stuff. He got his $1,000,000 and he walked away. That, if you don't know, NASCAR does do that. They pay drivers up to $1,000,000 to go out be in media and promote the sport. Chase is the most popular driver. Chase is the most popular driver. He's voted the most popular driver every year by we the fans. So, where can I get this hat? This one is a 1 of 1. I would love to make some more of them if people are really interested in it and sell them. But the gentleman who I purchased this hat from did not. It was not a friendly price in terms of like getting more than a handful made at a time. So if there's enough interest, I would love to print them. I'm talking to a couple of hat companies right now doing some side projects. So maybe there's an opportunity as we go forward. I mean, there is no debate on if Chase is the most popular driver. They vote on him. The vote is what determines he's most popular right now. That's the only system we have. Now, do I think when you talk about like sentiment, like what is the public sentiment around him? I think people talk a lot about how we feel, where, well, he's all right. There's a demographic of fan who attribute the Elliott name to a higher power in NASCAR. So he is a legacy driver, a generational driver. So it's something that kind of comes with the territory for him. I think Denny is definitely more in the public eye. Kyle Busch, I don't think has really taken a step back over the last couple of years in terms of how renowned he is, because he's not at the front of the field anymore. It's hard because he's not competitive as competitive as he was. And you got this nice guy, Kyle Busch. If you listen to Actions Detrimental this week, you heard a lot about nice guy Kyle Busch. So it's it's an interesting life cycle to see these drivers go through. It's a lot like, like a storyline in WWE where they go through these life cycles of the types of drivers they are and the types of personalities they exhibit, where like Denny is having such success. Now he's the villain, where Kyle Busch for many years had so much success that, he was the villain for a long time. He makes the move. He goes to RCR. He can't be the villain because you can't back it up with the positions on track. Then that's his words. He said that. I mean, Larson is the best driver in the series, regardless of team. Larson is the best driver in the series. Now, you want to sit here and have the debate about, is he the best driver in the world? You sure could. You'll never know until you put him in an F1 car. I don't think he would just jump in an F1 car and go, just like I don't think an F1 driver would jump in a Cup car and go. Even though Larson talked about how similar, the Indy car and the Cup car experience was for him as he's getting ready to run the double. They're similar cars now versus what they used to be, where steel body cars, that's the NASCAR that I look back to and remember with fondness, is the steel body car era. It just, the aerodynamics of it, there were so many things that you couldn't tweak, you couldn't touch, you couldn't beat or bang. You had to go out there and just run as fast as you could. And as soon as you tapped on the car, you bent something, your day was in jeopardy. There's a connection now too. You talk about Max versus Kyle. There's a connection through NASCAR, not through Hendrick, but through NASCAR now with Red Bull that, if they really wanted to give that a shot, they could try to put a deal together. And that's the other thing too, like subjectively, what is the best? Like, if you're raised running karts and F4, F3, F1, like what you're the best at that. And then if you're raised running dirt and oval track racing, like you'll be the best at that. But if you swap those two disciplines, you're not going to be the best at either of them. So I'm curious. I'd be curious to understand like what would be the benchmark to compare these two drivers by. But I also don't think it's fair to compare them. I think it's like the LeBron Michael Jordan debate. One is really great in one right, and the other is really great in the other right, and that's really kind of my position on it. I think Max would love to rip a sprint car. I've seen him do some drifting and stuff too. Like the guy can get in anything and hit the pedal and go. He seems to be able to find the speed out of the machine that he needs to do, regardless of what the machine is. That's just something. That's just something that he has a natural talent for. And you look like his dad too, Max's dad, where the guy's getting up there and he's still ripping around in like endurance championship cars. Like this is obviously something that's built into them in terms of just who they are as human beings to a certain extent. Speaking of F1 and Indy, oh no, I'm sorry. Speaking of Indy and the double, Indy and Charlotte, I was really interested to hear that Kyle Busch had 2 deals done to run the double that both fell through. I thought that's crazy. Listen, Kyle Larson is a very marketable driver, but if you had Kyle Busch run the double, I think that would have been the best, especially back in the M&M's days. That would have been an M&M's F1 car or Indy car, an M&M's Indy car. What would that have done for the culture? That would have been crazy. But coach said no. Coach was like, no, we don't have any control over the car. We don't want to do it. And then Kyle Larson ended up coming in and scooping up the deal from Kyle Busch with Arrow. That was Kyle Busch's deal initially because Arrow wanted whoever was driving the car and their team to buy the tub of the Indy car in case it got wrecked, which is a very intelligent business decision to make on behalf of the IndyCar team, but not something I guess that JGR was prepared to do at the time either. So I think Larson will be great. He's been great he was great last year for what we got to see. We didn't get to see the whole thing unfold the way we maybe would have liked to. But as we go along in May here, the month of May is absolutely slam jam packed with racing. So it'll be interesting to see what Kyle can do, especially while he's still running dirt. He's doing it all still, even while getting ready for the double. I'm going to pull up some information here. All right. We're going to do a quick rundown again. Coach doesn't like his drivers and anything with stock cars. Yeah. He don't want to let them run much besides what they're in. That's why like Christopher Bell stopped running dirt. Chase Briscoe doesn't really run dirt. I mean, I think they just allowed them to start doing it again. But even now that they allow them to start doing it again, I don't think they're not doing a lot. I think Christopher Bell's running like 5 sprint car races this year. That's it. All right. So real quick too, the truck race. Why don't we hit on that real quick? The truck race at Kansas I think was the best race of the weekend between the two. Hocevar back in that Spire truck, absolutely whipping the damn thing. He was killing it out in the front there. But I'll tell you what, those truck drivers wanted to take everything they could off of him. They did not want to see him win that race. Lane Riggs put it on the dash at the end to try to make something happen to put Hocevar behind him. I mean, crazy. And then ultimately, Lane Riggs ends up getting disqualified. So Carson Hocevar wins in the Inspired Motorsports Chevrolet, claimed his first Truck Series win of the 2025 season and the fifth of his career. Hocevar led 75 of 134 laps. Corey Heim dominated early, winning stage one and leading the first 52 laps before a pit road mishap and a restart violation dropped him back into the field. Lane Riggs crossed the line second, but was disqualified post-race due to a bed cover violation, promoting William Byron to second and Corey Heim to third. Corey Heim maintained the lead in the points with 412. Chandler Smith follows still in second with Daniel Hemrick in third. Chevrolet still leads the Manufacturers' Championship with Toyota and Ford following behind. So that's kind of your truck race recap. We did see Heim make the transition over to the Cup Series this weekend. Not his first race in the Truck Series, in the Cup Series. But Heim time is going to come to the Cup Series. It's going to be a big deal when it happens. I wonder where he goes. And this is a conversation that I think is more entertaining than the Hendrick car debate. But where does Heim go? You have Riley Herbst sitting in that 35 car right now. You know he's in there for at least one more year. Heim could come up next year. He's ready to come up next year. And it really just depends what they're going to do in terms of where there's an open seat in the Toyota camp. They obviously want to retain him. I mean, they don't want to see him go to another manufacturer. This is a guy who's going to win a lot of races at every level. The dominance in the Truck Series that they've had has been unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where you have Cup guys are really the only ones who can beat him on a truck, in a truck. Where's Heim's money coming from? A little Googling will get you the answer. Heim is going to take that 11 car and Denny is going to drive for his own team at some point. Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with the lawsuit too and what kind of charters they can get a hold of. I don't think there's an opportunity for Heim to come up if 2311 is running all open cars. There's a lot of money getting thrown around behind the scenes. So I don't know for a fact what the answer is, which is why I won't yap it on the live. I don't know the answer for sure, but there's a lot of money that gets thrown around behind the scenes to fund that 11 truck and then, you know, other aspects of the career as they make those moves upward. So you think Herbst, the 2-year experiment with Herbst doesn't work out. Okay, they put him back in Xfinity, and then Heim takes over that 35 car. That would make sense, but I'm just curious if Heim will wait around the year that Herbst's contract is still up for. It would be nice to see Heim run in the Xfinity Series full-time one year. If I'm a car owner or I'm a team owner, I want to see him run a full season in Xfinity and see if he can beat the brakes off people just like he did in the Truck Series. Or maybe they try to run an open car. Maybe they have a deal set up with a team where they can get it going. These Slide Job hats are, I only made one. I made this hat. Maybe I need to make more of them. It seems like I need to, because 2 people have asked already this morning about them. And you can't get them. I'm the only one who can get them. I tried to talk to the embroidery guy. And I mean, what would you pay for this hat? Because the price he gave me to print more than a handful of them was a little astronomical. And I felt as if people would not pay it for this hat. And I chose not to print more of them. Xfinity Series with Heim would be even more marketable than it is right now, especially with some of the veterans you have like Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier. facing off against young veteran or young rookies coming into the series. I think that'd be a great way to market the Xfinity series. It's where Xfinity series has always been where names are made. But there are some folks who've been around for a long time in the Xfinity series, and I think that makes them better. So I am going to go through those Google forms, by the way. I messed up the Google form because I asked people to put their social tag on there, and I apparently it only let you input an email. So that was my bad. So I do have everybody's information so far. There's only 3 submissions. So I'd love to have a couple more and then record them all, pre-record them all. They're not going to be like conversations about the week that we sit down and talk. It's more going to be like an overall kind of conversation. So I hope Sheldon Creed finally gets his Xfinity win this year, but a lot of second place finishes. Guy runs super consistent, which has been really wild in the Cup Series or in the Xfinity Series. Woo! Why do we never see any changes come to Elliott's team when they constantly let him down? I think the 9 team is in a really good spot, honestly. The pit road stuff is going to happen. It happens to the best teams, but I think the more you mess with things, the more risk you run of making it worse in some cases. I get people are not going to be happy that Elliott couldn't hang up at the front on a pit road deal, but yeah, the consistency in the drivers definitely is affected by that point system, for sure. You don't really get to see it rewarded the same way a win is rewarded or other types of like stage wins are rewarded. I don't know. I mean, the 5 was just so dominant. And the only time I saw the 5, run the risk of not being out front was when, if the 20 hadn't given him that big push on that final restart, I don't know. I think Logano was ready to throw everything in the kitchen sink at them to make it work to get to the front and pass them. It seemed like that was going to be the big move of the race, was Joey Logano going down there on the apron and he was blocking Briscoe big time. And it seemed like he was ready to do whatever it took to kind of get himself to the front and shoehorn his way around Larson too, if he got the chance. But he was too far out by then. And once you get far enough out in these cars, it's over. Once you're in that clean air, see you later. That's the craziest part about all this. Tires today, air pressure adjustments were a big factor today too. You talk about tires coming apart. We saw it. The 24, the 6 had a big blowout. We are talking about 3-time NASCAR. You're talking about 3-time NASCAR champion, 2-time All-Star champion Joey Logano. I wanted to see Joey come for people's necks yesterday, Dom. I thought he was going to do it late. I thought he was gonna wrangle him. I thought he was gonna get 2 hands around him and really just choke him. I don't know. Felt like those Penske cars had something for him late, but it just didn't happen. It was very sad. Not that I don't I just don't want to see somebody put a whooping on the whole field all day. Try to compete with them up front. Logano seemed to have something for him. That's right too. All-Star Weekend is next weekend. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The last lap on the hardest Kansas race. This is definitely one of the tougher Kansas races. Again, though, too, like the expectation of what we think Kansas is and what it should be, is kind of distorted by that race we had with Larson and Hamlin a couple of years back. I love the first story on NASCAR.com is what could have been, and it's a picture of the Elliott. It's a picture of Chase Elliott's car. I love that. Really stoking the fire. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Well, Kyle Larson is the best driver, but he's also in the best car. So there are also great drivers out there in the NASCAR Cup Series field. They just don't. They just can't handle. They just can't handle what Larson's bringing to the table most weeks. And unless Larson makes a mistake and steps on himself, you get races like you get today. Power rankings. I've never looked at these power rankings. Has anybody looked at these NASCAR power rankings? Oh, Dom says he didn't have the speed. Ryan Blaney had the best shot of the Team Penske cars. That is, yeah. It seemed to be late. That was the feeling late that Penske could have done something. I don't know. The 20 seemed to be there in the mix all day until he wasn't. But yeah, just every restart, Larson fired off just better and better and better. All right, so Larson is at the top of the power ranking. William Byron is number 2. Christopher Bell is number 3, up 2 spots. Denny Hamlin is ranked 4 in the power rankings. What a week for Denny Hamlin, huh? Blown clutch, getting pushed off pit road by his pit crew. What a mess. What a mess that was. Just you could hear him revving the engine just to high heavens, banging it into first gear to try to get it to roll. That car had some juice too, but that clutch thing is a wild situation to be stuck in, having that go wrong on you. I'd like to see Blaney win. Blaney's power ranked at number 5. Chase Elliott up 2 spots to power rank number 6. Reddick is in 7th, down a couple of spots. Logano down 1 spot in 8th. Bowman up 2 spots in 9th. Chastain down 1 spot to 10th. Ross Chastain in the mix too, huh? There was no Xfinity racing this weekend, by the way, which was very unbelievably sad. It was not my favorite. I really wanted to see a Xfinity Kansas race. I mean, we get one later in the year, I think, yeah. Pocono, Sonoma, Dover, Indy, Iowa, Watkins, Portland, yeah, they go back there in September. But they gave them this weekend off, I guess, because they had run Rockingham. So they gave them Mother's Day weekend off versus Easter weekend. A Trackhouse, I don't know. Like somebody like a week or two ago was in these comments and asked me if I thought Trackhouse was cooked. Every week that goes by, I think the answer gets closer to yes. It skews closer to yes every week. I mean, Daniel Suarez is. I don't know what they're going to do with him. When his deal's up, you have to think Zilich is going to go in that 99 car. You have to think that's going to be what happens there, or it'll be the 87 car, whatever. It'll be Zilich's ride to have. And then Ross just, they clipped his wings a couple of years back there after he was being super, super aggressive. And it just hasn't been the same. I don't know. Guy just can't seem to get the speed. Even the car just can't seem to get the speed. Maybe they're not getting the same support they were getting, because all those Chevy teams kind of share information to some level. You mess with the big dogs enough times, they'll take it away from you. Well, I don't think they're going to buy another charter Trackhouse. I think they're just gonna let Suarez walk, and then they'll put Zilich in that car. SVG in Xfinity. The whole thing with SVG is this, right? They have him in that car, that 88, to go out there and win one race a year. That's his job, is to go win at road courses because of the payouts and putting them in a playoff position. And the money that they can use from that payout can help improve the overall health of the team. They're definitely not going to move him back down. Should they? Is a debate. But they won't. For that reason. So let's see. We got about 20 minutes to roll here up until the top of the hour. I appreciate everybody stopping in here this morning. chit-chatting, talking about things. I didn't do my due diligence as far as I usually do in terms of prep today. I was ill yesterday. I took a sick day to take a day off from work just because I had been traveling. So I was out in California last week. I was like, all right, I'm gonna come home, take an extra day. We're gonna decompress. We're gonna hang. It's gonna be great. End up going out for Mother's Day, going to my mom's. Something I ate was not good, and I ended up actually being sick on my pre-scheduled sick day. So there's karma, you know. Yeah, I don't think he's really SVG hasn't really put himself in a position to be better than a top 20, top 15 finish on ovals. I mean, I can look it up real quick. What is his average finish position? See what ChatGPT says. Oh, they're gonna give me like a whole story here. I don't want a whole story. Let me go to hold on. Let me go to Xfinity and actually look myself. I asked the spooky AI cloud machine, and it didn't give me the answer I wanted. Now the internet is running slow. Hopefully I don't. There's no issues. Okay, let me scroll down here. Where is the 88? Where are you? Hello. Okay, there he is. Shane Van Gisbergen. So his average start is 30th. And his average finish is 26th, 0.833. So 27th. So you're all very optimistic that a top 20 finish is good for him, or a 20th place finish is good. I would say a 30th place finish is good for him in the current state of affairs right now. He has 3 DNFs in 12 races, 1 top 10, and only 25 laps led this year. So, there's that. And then you talk about Brad. Brad's average start position is 24th, average finish 27th. So not a ton better. Not a ton better either. So, Trackhouse had so much momentum, and it felt like things were going to go really well. All the Pitbull stuff, we were all like, hey, yeah, it's Trackhouse. And then, it just hasn't panned out. It hasn't panned out. You've got Brad falling below Riley Herbst in the point standings this week, down to 33rd. Van Gisbergen is 35th in the points. By comparison, Jimmy Johnson is 37th in points. So these guys are bottom of the barrel right now. We saw a couple big drivers take a little bit of a slide back. Ty Gibbs, we almost saw him come back to life, but he's still not performing the way he should. Ty starts, averages a 16th place start, but doesn't end up finishing, finishes 20th every week, according to this, which unfortunately puts him in 26th in the points. Does Trackhouse actually hold on to Zilich? Yeah, I think they do, from a partnership and sponsors perspective. I don't know what those Red Bull contracts look like, but I would imagine if I'm Connor Zilich, I want to stay wherever my Red Bull contract is, because that's going to be what that kid's going to retire on someday. Trackhouse lost key partners in-house and sponsorship wise. Yep. I mean, I didn't think he was ready for the ovals. The road courses, it's obvious he can wheel it, but do you get enough of those a year to make it legitimate for him to run the way he runs every other time? climb to the 54 car. That would be crazy. Ty Gibbs gets booted out of his own family's seat because he can't hang. Imagine that's how grandpa teaches him a lesson. That'd be crazy. I think Connor can win on ovals too. I think that's the part of what Connor does that, because he's young, that SVG can't do. It's tough to teach an old dog new tricks, and it takes more time. It's not that they can't learn, but it takes more time to learn. I'll tell you what, though, these top 10 in points are going to put on such a show for us at the end of the year. Kyle Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, and Bubba Wallace. And that 10th spot is kind of like a flex spot too, right? Bubba's sitting in there now. He's down 2 spots in the points. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers from 11th to 15th that are just kind of waiting in the wings. They're just creeping around. That could try to come in and vie for that spot. Sorry. I'm exhausted. Shouldn't be, but I am. Yeah. I will say SVG improved a ton on oval since the last year. I'm running out of real estate here on the comments thread. Hold on. I mean, Allmendinger's had a great year this year. Where's he sitting? Oh man. Well, he's in 25th in the points. He's down 6 spots. That's because he had a DNF this year. But his, he's been running good. He has 3 top 10s this year. I mean, that's obviously this was not the best time to call him out as being pretty good, but he's been better than he's been in previous years. That's basically what they want to see us watch in Xfinity. We get it twice because we get to watch it in Xfinity and then run it up into Cup with Connor Hyman Love. Just kind of staggered. They're kind of staggering their rookie seasons right now. Ty Dillon has been surprisingly decent. He has been. Ty Dillon's sitting in, I mean, he's 30th in the points, but he's absolutely, points aren't everything. They've outperformed. I think they've outperformed, the expectation for them. John Hunter Nemechek is up 4 spots too, by the way, in the point standings, up into 19th. He's made a big leap forward. I think, he's a driver to keep paying attention to. People like to clown on John Hunter, but the fact that he went backwards to go forwards in his career, it's crazy. Average start position is 24th on track in that 42 Legacy Motor Club car, and his average finish is 18th. So he's driving it better than his average start, which is what we love to see. That's progress, baby. Ricky Stenhouse in the playoffs as of now. He's had a surprisingly good year too. I mean, that's the result that this is what the product is based on, the technology that we have. It gives drivers, the best drivers kind of rise to the top because of the skill level of the driver, the individual. But it gives some of these other drivers a chance based on, what they can do. Ricky Reckhouse. I said I wasn't going to slander Ricky Stenhouse this year, but guy's got 2 top 10s, 1 top 5. Again, another guy, average start position, 27th, average finish position, 17th. So on average, he's gaining 10 spots. That's a big deal for a single car team like Hayek Motorsports. That's a big one. I started calling him Ricky again. It's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to not slander because he's been doing a lot better. He's been killing it this year in particular. He's been doing some pretty big things. All right, so we've got about 5 minutes before the top of the hour. I want to transition here weekend to celebrate for the 42 team for sure, and that's no joke. No, for sure. They definitely stepped up. They've stepped up their game at Legacy. I don't know, I think John Hunter's out driving the equipment for sure. I think it just goes to show why when he goes to Xfinity Series, he was running. I'll never forget the Xfinity Series race he ran at Las Vegas, where he was started, in the back, laps down on a restart, and just drove through the whole field in 3 laps. Just ripped the rim and drove through the entire field. So John Hunter can do it. It's not a matter of like driver skill level. It's just a matter of, is the equipment he's in good enough to put him in a competitive position. Is the 9 speed we saw Sunday the spark Elliott needed to contend for wins again? I don't know. I think they need a few of those consistently. I think Elliott needs to see the daylight of the front of the pack, and then he'll be feeling more consistent about it. He'll feel better about contending for a win. So John Hunter has 11 career wins in the Xfinity Series. That is the stat for him. So he's got 11 wins in the Xfinity Series. He has been up and down and all over the NASCAR series. Speaking of getting up and down, no, that's not a good transition. It's not a good one. I don't like it. Maybe he ran Truck Series too, because he did go back down to the Truck Series to like improve himself and then get the opportunities to come back. And I think that was one of the most pivotal career choices he made. I mean, it's a big risk to take, right? But obviously paying off in this Cup ride he's got. It's going to take time to develop the what he's doing with Legacy. Let's see. The driver with the most NASCAR Xfinity Series wins after Kyle Busch is Mark Martin with 49 wins. Kevin Harvick has 47, and Brad Keselowski has 39. Kyle Busch has 102. So beating him by almost double in terms of what's going on in the Xfinity Series. Yeah, it would have still been the Busch Series, which is still the same. It's still the same. And then I want to go over some. I want to go over some NASCAR All-Star conversation here too. John Hunter Nemechek has 13 truck wins, 24 total, 24 total with Xfinity. That's where I got the number. Yeah, you added them up. That makes sense. I mean, okay. Real quick too, while we're chatting here, if you're amped up about your driver getting their wins, make sure you are supporting them with the latest gear from Happy Hour Racing. The QR code is available on screen here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter/X. Scan the QR code, head over to their website. You can even sign up for subscription boxes where they will send you your favorite drivers' latest merch right to your house every single month. So make sure you check it out, happyhourracing.com. Happyhourracing.com, or Happy Hour Racing is a partner of ATYL Media, and we love to promote and help support those who help support us. So shouts to Happy Hour Racing. Anytime you want to scan that QR code, go ahead. Feel free. It's a good time. Kyle Busch's best single season in NASCAR Xfinity Series was 2010. He had 13 wins. Imagine winning 13 races in one season. That's crazy. Crazy. Talk about just like being the best at something. 13 times, proving it 13 times in a row. Or 13 times in a season, I should say. Now, what I wanted to do was pull up the schedule for Wilkesboro because there's some things that have changed, and it's really unfortunate that I don't live close enough to go to this because there's so much happening at North Wilkesboro for All-Star Weekend. I mean, okay, this is the schedule I want. I was a big Larson fan. Tell the bandwagon. Were you? I asked people who was Larson's biggest sponsor in the 42, and that's how I know if they're bandwagon fans or not. Oh yeah, you love Kyle Larson. Who do you run for before Hendrick? And then people never know. But But most people that could go to the track and they have Larson gear on, they don't know. They don't know the name of the team. Yep, there you go. See, so y'all are see. This is why my community here on TikTok and the HUIL community is the best because y'all are not fair weather fans. Some people don't even know what Chip Ganassi racing is. Those were the days, though. The Target car. Those were good times. Jen said, "Who would have thought Larson fans are just Lakers, Yankees fans?" Yeah. Well, that's how the bandwagon goes. I had a buddy who was a big Ryan Blaney fan, and then as Larson got better, he just jumped ship and went over to support Larson. I don't know what Larson's Xfinity career looks like, to be honest with you. I know he runs a ton of dirt. I know that in the 57 car. My favorite is when they have no idea he won a Rolex 24. Yeah, a lot of those guys jump into those endurance races. I don't know. That's a cool thing. Woo! Love to see NASCAR go back to Le Mans with that Garage 56 car. Put Larson in there. A couple other Cup drivers. That'd be fun. Some endurance racing. He didn't win at Kokomo, did he? Who won that race? Was it Rico again? Rico won? I saw it on Instagram. I'm not up to date on my latest dirt track news and information. Always. Rico with a crazy one, 4 pass for the win. Yeah. I saw that clip, like him just ripping the top, and he made everybody look like they were standing still. Larson rolled. Okay, it happens. Push the car to its limits. You might end up end over end once in a while. Rico been on a tear though, huh? It's like the third week in a row. I think he's cooking. I see his name popping up a lot because that's really the only way I get my dirt racing news is through like my Instagram algorithm. I just follow a bunch of people who are in that community, and then I follow the pages, obviously like the high limit pages and stuff like that. I try to get it pushed up into my algorithm when it happens. But all right, cool. Let's talk about the All-Star race real quick. The coming into the next week. This is kind of a different kind of deal. All-Star race is uniquely positioned this year with some extra rules. If you haven't heard about it already, I'm sure we'll talk about it here. So let me pull it all up at once. Because I don't understand. I don't understand what this competition caution, promoters caution. I hate it actually, but oh yeah, we read this. We read through this a couple weeks ago, but we'll do it again. let's see. Hendrick has a nice article about this. Oh, they have a nice article here. We'll read that. We'll read through that. Okay. The betting will be if you bet on this race, this all-star race with a competition with a promoter's caution in it, you're crazy. You're crazy. That's a crazy thing to try to bet on. Sorry, Dom. Sorry, Dom. I have multiple tabs pulled up. I see you in there. I keep clipping back and forth. The real ones know who Kyle Larson made his Cup debut with. I don't know. Number 51 car for Phoenix Racing. God bless us, everyone. Yeah, they definitely try to make it a stick and ball sport with all the extra gimmicks they throw in. But I think we're in for a really great weekend in general, though, especially with what they're going to put on TV on FS1. So Thursday, you've got the Cars Tour, and I think the Cars Tour is going to be one of the saving graces of this All-Star weekend. So they'll qualify. The late models will qualify, and then the Reverend Whiskey 75 qualifying will happen. Then they will run the race at 8 o'clock. So that's Thursday night. So you've got a ZMAX Cars Tour race on Thursday. Friday, you've got pit road opens. Fans can enjoy, kind of get in the track and see everything up close. Then Cup Series will do practice. The pit crew challenge will happen. And then there will be open qualifying and then all-star heat qualifying. And then the late model, or I'm sorry, the Cars Tour late models will race their 100-lap race on Friday night as well. So I think you got Thursday night and Friday night with Cars Tour races. And that Friday night one, I believe, is on FS1. I heard Dale Jr. talk about it this week on the download. They had moved some things around. And then Saturday, we get into, the first of our two big days where Truck Series race will go on, right? NCTS, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, 250 lapper. They'll do some practice and things before that, but there's a 250 lapper of the Truck Series. Then they'll do heat races that night for the Cup Series. And then Sunday, that's your big day. You'll get a wheel and modified tour race at 2 o'clock, and then a NASCAR All-Star Open race at 5:30, and then the All-Star race at 8. So a lot to unpack there. Yeah, it feels like it, right? It feels like a lot happening in a very short amount of time at North Wilkesboro. It does not say Joe Biden. Joe Biden. This is going to be a big weekend, though, for not just NASCAR, but for the Cars Tour and for the modifieds down there, too. I love that modified racing is kind of invading the Southeast a little bit, since that's like a big Northeast thing. It's kind of slowly like weaseling its way down south, which is interesting to see. I love the late model stuff, though. The Cars Tour racing has been really fun this year. I don't have Flow because it's too expensive, but it's definitely been one of the cool things to pay attention to, especially if you're in tune with everything ATYL Media. Buddy does all of the Cars Tour coverage. He's out at a lot of these events. Buddy celebrating his 250th event attendance coming up here soon. So, for all your Cars Tour or late model stock needs, Buddy is your man. I think about getting it. I think about getting it from time to time, but I never do. I'm going to go to the Hickory Cars Tour race. Can't wait. That Hickory Cars Tour race is the one with the big prize at the end. They upped the purse for it to try to get people to come out, because Dale said that they were they rented the whole track. So it's just them. There's no other events that day. So that'll be a great race to go to. I think you'll see some good things. Everything is too far from me to go to any of those car store races. I can't drive. I can't drive 9 hours to go to a car store race. I can't do it unless I'm already in the area for something for more than a weekend, because driving 9 hours just makes me want to vomit. Yeah, I'm interested to see who turns up. I think you'll get a lot of different drivers who try to come out. I think we've seen Newman race recently. I think you'll get some guys to come out and run a car store race for sure. That would be wild to watch 60 cars try to qualify for a single race. I think that would be like the heat racing and stuff. That would be awesome to watch them qualify like that. The heat racing is, I'm getting confused. The heat racing is for the All-Star Race Cup Series. Car Store doesn't do heat racing. No, they just do qualifying, right? They just do qualifying laps. Somebody check me on that before I end up spitting out nonsense that isn't real. But the format for this All-Star Race, right, is kind of a mess. And I don't understand it. And I kind of hate it. And I hate that I don't understand it because I want to understand it. So the format for the 2020... Oh, this is wrong. Hold on before we start reading. All right. So it's a 100-lap race with a competition break. The top two finishers are the fan vote winner, advance to the All-Star Race. All the laps count, and there's one overtime attempt. The heat races are 260-lap heat races, just like the Clash. The results of Heat 1 are set the inside row of the All-Star Race, and Heat 2 sets the outside row. There's an All-Star caution lap at lap 30 of each heat race with a mandatory 4-tire pit stop. All laps count, and there is one overtime attempt allowed. Then you've got this caution, though. This caution. I can't get past this gimmicky caution. A single optional promoter's caution flag potentially will be in the mix to reshape the race's complexion. If that yellow flag takes place, it must fly before lap 220 and cannot be used if a naturally occurring caution happens after lap 200. Do you think somebody will just like boof it after lap 200 just to take that away from the promoter? It just doesn't like. You're gonna make them okay. So we're gonna do the open races, or I'm sorry, the races. Gonna make them do the All-Star Open, right? They have to come down and they have to get pit. They have to go to the pits to get tires. They have to do this and they have to do that. And I think somebody said it before, but they are. It does feel like stick and ball sports sometimes, where you're gonna make people choose to do things. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't love that part of it. I think it should just be a regular race. Let them run. I get it's a chance to try things. Innovative events on our calendar. Returning to North Wilkesboro Speedway for the third year in a row allows us to honor the sport's roots. Like, it's all great, but I just when they throw like weird, wacky things in there, it just doesn't. It doesn't. I don't subscribe to it sometimes. The cars were dedicated event to Throwback Classic at Hickory. There will be heat races. Okay, cool. I'm into the heat racing. I think it adds a different element to. Even in like the dirt track world, where like I've gone out to New Egypt and to Bridgeport and stuff like that, and it's fun to watch heat races because those guys are fighting for their lives to make the feature, and you get better racing in those heat races because of that. $200,000 race payout ain't bad either for a car store event. That's worth it and then some. Okay, here's the graphic. So the eligibility for this All-Star race for the Cup Series will be 2024 and 2025 Cup Series points race winners, and then past All-Star race winners who compete full-time, the NASCAR Cup Series champions who compete full-time. Okay, that's just the eligibility, the 3 eligibility aspects of this event. Then you have All-Star Open qualifying. 3 laps, including a pit stop. Open cars will go first in the order, and qualifying speeds will determine the lineup for the open race. Competitors will take the green flag and run 1 full lap at speed, and on the second lap will proceed maintaining pit road speed while on pit road to one of the 2 NASCAR designated pit stalls for a 4-tire stop with no fuel. So they're essentially combining the pit crew challenge and the qualifying lap at the same time for the open, for the All-Star Open. When the pit stop is complete, the car will exit pit road, maintaining pit road speed, and race back to the checkered flag. Qualifying time will be the total elapsed time from green flag to checkered flag. The fastest All-Star qualifier will start on the pole for heat race number 1 and the All-Star race. Then you have the pit crew challenge, which is a separate event, even though they're making the pit crew a pivotal part of the open qualifying. Eligibility for the pit crew challenge is the pit crews of all teams entered, All-Star and Open, are eligible for the challenge. The pit crew with the fastest stop, no penalties during the qualifying attempt, is the winner of the pit crew challenge. The pit crew challenge results determine the order of pit picking. So that'll be a big deal too. Where do you pick your pit at North Wilkesboro? Well, your pit crew is going to be the one who gets to determine that. It's not going to have anything to do with your qualifying position. Then you'll get your All-Star heat races. 2 heat races, 75 laps apiece. There's an All-Star caution at or around lap 30. All the laps count. Overtime rules are in effect. There's only 1 attempt. Results of Heat 1 establish the inside row. Results of Heat 2 establish the outside row. Kind of talked about that a little bit before, but that'll be what that is. Then you end up here going down to the All-Star race itself, or the All-Star Open, where it's 100 laps. All the laps count, overtime rules. Competition break around lap 40. This is for the open race. And then the top 2 finishers transfer to the All-Star race, and a fan vote winner also transfers to the All-Star race. Fan vote should be interesting this year. I think I know who I would vote for. Who would you vote for the fan vote? Because I think there's a handful of drivers who should be in the All-Star race that might not be without it. That was immediately my instinct as well. You have to vote for Hocevar. You have to. He's a dog. He's got that dog in him. The Carson Hocevar All-Star fan vote campaign starts now. Right now. If you want to see good racing, you want to see a guy who's out here cutting it up, you have to vote for this man. You have to. The Dale truck rolls up to North Wilkesboro and you don't vote for him for the fan vote? It's crazy. Anyway, the All-Star race, 250 laps. All the laps count. Overtime rules are in effect. Competition break around lap 100. An optional promoter's caution must be executed prior to lap 220. If the caution has not been executed and a natural caution occurs after lap 200, the optional caution will no longer be in play. And then in addition to this is the final piece, and then I'll shut up about the All-Star breakdown. There is a manufacturer's showdown between Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. Manufacturer teams will be equally represented. The members per team will be determined by the least represented manufacturer, and an equal number of drivers from the other 2 manufacturers will be selected based on their final All-Star grid starting positions. Teams will be scored against each other and not by their overall All-Star finish. The lowest combined total of finishing positions will be the winning manufacturer. In the event of a tie, the single best overall finishing position will determine the winner. So there's a lot to think about this weekend. And that's just for the Cup Series side. And yeah, Carson Hocevar, though, you have to vote for him for the fan vote. Him flipping off lane rigs going across the finish line is, put it on a t-shirt. Honestly, because it's like they're like, oh, he's gonna look back, and when he has kids someday, he'll look back and regret that. No, he won't. Daddy, is this a picture of you? Yeah, your dad is a badass, a bad man who put him in their bag. That's what it is. So you got to vote for Hocevar. I think it's a no brainer for us. Oh man. I don't know. Are we excited about the All-Star race? Does it still have all of the allure of what it used to? I remember the one year they did it at Bristol with the neon light under the car, like the underglow. That was like I don't know. They always try to throw something weird in. Let's try to throw something a little tricky in, and it's like, And they used to be at Texas a lot too. I know that. I mean, I don't know. I like the idea of putting it at like historic tracks or doing like a racetrack revival and having the All-Star race at a track like that. Wilkesboro has really become like the hub recently. Well, didn't they do it at Charlotte? Wasn't that the year that Gordon? Wasn't there a year Gordon ran that Jurassic Park car? Yeah, the T-Rex car in '97. That was the one. The movie cars always won. We got to see that car when I was down in Charlotte at Hendrick Motorsports. It sits in the museum, the gift shop museum, just right out front. They like to remind everyone that they're out there still kicking ass. Oh man. I don't know how you would gamble on All-Star Weekend. I mean, it's like betting horses, really, where it's gonna be so all over the place because you don't know. I mean, it'd be fun to bet like who's gonna make the races, like in the open race, and then you can't bet the fan vote. That would be tough. But who wins in the heats and who wins in the opens, I think would be even more exciting to me than who's going to act like finishing positions in the All-Star race overall. Okay, let me pull my notes back up here because I think there's one more thing I have cooking. No, I don't. Oh, yes. Very short, but one more thing I wanted to talk about. The Arkham Menard series did run in Kansas really quickly. Brendan Butterbean Queen back in Victory Lane. We've seen Butterbean on his meteoric rise through, the late model stuff and into the ARCA series now. And Butterbean back in Victory Lane in the ARCA series. It's fun to see him win. I don't know. It's fun to see drivers who are actually good win in ARCA. We love Cletus too. We're big Cletus stands over here. So hopefully we see more. Oh man. Hopefully we see more Cletus in the future too. I can't wait for that. Then I want to pull up a schedule. So we're in the month of May. This is the 13th. It's 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks into May. But this is very much so the month of the year to be a motorsports fan in general, right? I don't think that's a secret. We talk a lot about the Cup Series and about NASCAR, but we have the Indy 500 this month, the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Coke 6 all happening. just, I mean, there's also the Virginia NHRA Nationals. The Miami Grand Prix happened already. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I want to talk about the Indy 500 a little bit because they did some they did some like testing for it, and I didn't get a chance to. So it starts today. Is that what this is? The 109th running of the Indianapolis 500, May 13th to the 25th. Countdown to green, 12 days. So there's even events for the Indy 500. That's why Indy 500, like, I don't know. There's so much that happens. They're going to do practice 1 and 2 today again for NTT. NTT is going to run events all week this week. All week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All NTT. Sunday, they're going to run qualifiers. They're going to run practices in NTT on Monday, the 19th. They're going to run carb day final practice, pit stop competitions. And then you're going to get another NTT. It's like 12 days of IndyCar. It's crazy. Monaco is a snooze fest. Monaco is a pace lap. Unfortunately, it's one of those F1 races that unfortunately the cars don't have enough power to pass, and the cars are so big now, they're so long that they really don't get as much of an advantage to use the passing zones the way that they historically have been. As a motorsports fan, I love the Sunday Memorial Day weekend. It's my favorite day. It's the best day. You put the TV on, you put 2 TVs on, and you watch pre-race for the Coke 6 and you watch the Indy 500. It's the best. I wanted to go to the Coke 600 this week or at the end of the month, but I just I can't justify the cost of flying down there. I should have just planned a vacation around it. And then my better half works that weekend. So if I go by myself, she will be incensed with rage because she will have wanted to go in the worst way also. I did really want to go to the Coke 6 though this year, but I'm not going to go by myself. It would be interesting to see NASCAR teams buy into ARCA, but there's no return on that investment. There's no, like they're not drawing in a big enough crowd to make the big teams make it worth it in terms of their sponsorship money or their TV deal. It would be interesting to see a little more tech put behind that. I know like Venturini is going to go away next year, and then they're going to sell to Nitro, which is some new team. That should be interesting in terms of like what happens with those cars because they should have like run of the field, but we'll see. I don't know a ton about ARCA. It's not my bread and butter. I just like watching Cletus. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it puts the whole series in jeopardy, but it definitely will put the racing product further in jeopardy. I saw the Rockingham race in ARCA, and you had cars that were half a lap slower than each other. And it's like you have to produce some kind of exciting racing to get fans to come back, and it's just not what happens every week. Super speedways seem to be the way to do it. That seems to be how to attract folks to the ARCA Menard series. I don't understand how people go out for a race weekend though and don't go to every race. When I go out for a race weekend, like when I went to Daytona, I want to watch ARCA. I want to watch trucks. I want to watch Xfinity. I want to watch Cup. I don't care if they put a bunch of children out there on bicycles. I want to sit there and watch it. I showed up I drove 20 hours to be at Daytona. I'm watching the whole thing. I'm watching it all. Now, that being said, we didn't stay for the whole Xfinity race because there's about 75,000 cautions. And the truck race got a little long, too. Same deal with all the cautions. But, you know, it was still fun. I went with the boys, though. That's why it was a kind of a different deal. In the Indy 500, we almost ended up going to the, not the Indy 500. Indy 500 is the 25th. We almost ended up going to the Brickyard this year. That would have been awesome, but the schedule didn't fall into place. I work too much outside of, why is it giving me NTT schedules? I don't want an NTT schedule, damn it. The schedule is not lining up for me to get to as many events as I would like to this year, and it is not I'm not having a good time thinking about it. So, are there any other hot topics we want to touch on before I start to wrap things up? We're in here an hour and a half, just about. We've been talking about it. Big Kyle Larson dominant win at Kansas. Carson Hocevar flips the bird over the checkered flag. I thought that was a great time. That race was fun. Well, that's what a lot of people said. Kansas was a kind of a light weekend because of the fact that it's on Mother's Day. People were like, "Oh, the stands aren't full for this great race that everybody's talking about." Well, it's Mother's Day. You're not going to get everybody to come out on Mother's Day. It's not going to happen. Makes sense to me. Same deal with other holidays like Easter. Like, you're not going to get as many fans out on Easter. I mean, don't tell that to Rockingham and all the Xfinity fans that showed up to that, but you're right in the heart and soul of the sport, though, down in the Carolinas. So, we didn't have too much controversy this week. There wasn't a ton of like beating and banging and anybody wrecking each other, which, doesn't give me much to like really stoke the fire on because I love to upset people. But, nothing crazy. Still crazy we haven't heard any silly season news. Yeah, I feel like it started really early last year, especially with SHR going, closing up and all that. And I feel like most of it's been pretty tight-lipped this year. It's been pretty tight-lipped, all the silly season action. I think things are going to stay relatively the same until teams figure out what the lawsuit is going to happen with that. The lawsuit kind of took a step backwards this week. I don't know if people have heard, but that seemed to be the sentiment where they went to court this week and the judges kind of questioned what the basis for the preliminary injunction that was granted to the teams to not sign the charter agreement. Like, why did you even get that to begin with? So there was definitely some interesting conversations happening around the lawsuit and how maybe NASCAR might have a little bit more of a leg to stand on than we thought. I also wonder too, like how series like the Cars Tour or, other modified series, how that kind of plays into the judges' mentality on what they consider to be a competitive racing series. Because that's kind of the base for the whole thing, right? Is that NASCAR is, a monopoly, and that these teams cannot go to other quote unquote competitive racing series to do what they do on Sundays in NASCAR. I mean, obviously you can't compare Cars Tour and modified series to the Cup series, but it's interesting to kind of see. It'd be interesting to kind of see how they compare what is a competitive racing series or a competitive league. Like, is arena football competitive to the NFL? Is CFL competitive to the NFL? Like, I don't think so, but maybe a judge sees it differently. So again, I'm not a lawyer. If I was, I'd be doing lawyer things, but we're not comparing ARCA to Cup. That can never happen. But you got to think about too, like, these judges, they're not like NASCAR people, like, what is their understanding of what competitiveness is? Like, is it competitiveness in terms of team competitiveness? Is it competitiveness in terms of series competitiveness financially? If that's the grounds, if that's the grounds for it, where it's like, okay, what other series financially are competing with the Cup Series? There is none, especially with the TV rights deals. But I don't know what the comparison is that they're using for in these conversations that they're having. But I do know the judges did encourage both sides to get some mediation and settle out of court. That was their suggestion to 2311 and FRM, and then NASCAR. Because I think there's a lot of things in that lawsuit that if it does go to trial, it's going to like peel the skin back on a lot of things that maybe people would prefer to keep private or quiet about the business dealings of these series day to day. Like NFL doesn't want you looking at their books. Major League Baseball doesn't want you looking at their books. None of these big series, big conglomerates want their business out there in the open air. So even Indy. Does Indy really have? I mean, Indy is IndyCar as big as NASCAR? IMSA, I don't think. I mean, IMSA is a whole different cup of worms, right? And then the other part of it too is none of those series run or Indy runs ovals, I guess. I mean, IMSA, I feel like you only get to a couple of races a year that you're really psyched about. Hunter Brown, I'm going to the second Indy 500 and then the Brickyard this year. I would love to be packed in your suitcase, Hunter. Can you pack me in there so I can go with you? Because I would love to get to a couple races. I've never been to an Indy 500, so would be cool. Would be cool to do that. They do some things from work at my job for Indy, but I don't think they would they're not going to pay me or help me with travel to go out there. I have a friend who's taking a work trip to Michigan. We were going to go drive to the Indy 500 the week before his work trip. It's a Sunday before he needs to be at work on the Monday. And we were going to go to the Indy 500, and then he was going to go to work on Monday, work the week, and then we were going to I'm sorry. I keep confusing the Indy 500 with the Brickyard 400. We were going to drive to Indy for the Brickyard 400. Go to the Brickyard. He was going to work all week, and then we were going to go to Iowa after and do a back-to-back bookend weekend. And then we were going to come home and go to Watkins Glen, which I think I'm going to the Glen regardless. Glen's a day trip for me. So, I mean, probably not. It's not a comfortable day trip, but the Glen, I'm going to try to do the local tracks this year. I don't think I can get much further than that. I'm going to do Dover, Pocono, Watkins Glen. I might try to go to Loudon. Those 4, if I can make that happen. Just the Northeast tracks. Coke 6 was going to be my big trip for myself this year. Went to Daytona, not the year, but the year prior. So, I don't know. It's tough. I want to fly to races. I don't want to drive to races anymore, unless within reason. So, but yeah, talking about the lawsuit stuff, I don't think the comparison can really be there between IndyCar and IMSA to NASCAR. And then too, like, what are you going to tell the teams? Like, oh, you want to run in competitive series? You have to go out and build an IndyCar program. Like, financially, does that make sense for the return based on what they already have invested in NASCAR, in oval track racing, like stock car racing? I don't think it makes sense, but who am I? What do I know? I just sit here and talk about it. Dude. Oh, okay. Saw the phone light up. Nothing crucial. So also keeping in mind too the Google form submissions, trying to just get some guests on here. If you can't tell, this is a long show early in the morning on a Tuesday. So I would love to like have some longer form conversations with folks in the industry or even just fans or you guys in the chat to just understand your fandom, or if you're a content creator, understand how you became a content creator in the space and what you're doing. If you're a racer, I would love to talk to people who race. I don't care at what level. I would love to sit with some drivers and really understand their journey into the sport and what they're doing today and their successes and their challenges, and kind of talk about the state of racing in their series. And then overall, if they're interested in having those conversations, figure it'd be about a half an hour, 40 minutes. We do the show for 2 hours. So I'd love to try to fill up a segment here toward the end of the show with some type of an interview. And that's why this Google form thing exists, where you can click the link in the bio on my TikTok and on my Instagram at Slide Job Sal. You can fill it out. You can talk a little bit about what you want to talk about, and then figure out when we can plan a day to just sit down and chop it up for a little bit. Most people don't want to go live with me at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. So I figure pre-recording these interviews is probably the best case scenario in terms of getting the most success out of it. So if you're interested in doing something like that, I would very much so like to do it. So just keeping that in mind, it kind of gives you a chance as well to have your voice heard up on a big platform, on a bigger platform, on ATYL Media. Not that I am not a big platform independently, but ATYL Media is always growing and expanding. So we're always locked in for those exciting opportunities. Speaking of exciting opportunities, Happy Hour Racing, you can get your latest merch from this Kyle Larson Kansas weekend win at happyhourracing.com. You can sign up for all of Kyle Larson's winning merchandise, because he's going to win a couple more this year, right? So don't even think about it. When Kyle Larson wins a race, have yourself signed up, get it delivered right to your front door. Happyhourracing.com has subscription boxes that offer you that kind of flexibility and will get you all hooked up to celebrate every time Kyle Larson wins. You'll be doing a lot of celebrating. So you have a lot of t-shirts. But check them out. QR code is in the top of the screen here on the live streams here on A2IL Media. So make sure you're checking them out and signing up for your subscription box. All right, it's Wordle time. I've decided I'm tired today. I did not feel well yesterday, and I am genuinely exhausted. General? Okay, let's see. I messed with my camera setup not too long ago, and I don't know what I did. To make it work. Yes. Okay, we're going to get this pulled up. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Bang, bang. Niner gang. All right. So, the Wordle. Wordle. Not hiding the chat today either. Not doing it. If anybody wants to help me, I'm into it for the help. Since we were just in Kansas, do we do corny? Corny is the first word since Kansas corn. Okay. We've got an R. We've got an R on the board. Tough. This is tough. There's some tough things in this Wordle today. I don't know why this is the first thing that comes to mind, but okay. So I feel like we're at ARE somewhere. Not quite. We are at ARE, though. I thought S was going to be it for sure. I feel like this L is looking at me funny in the corner of the screen here, right? Maybe it's flare? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Nobody in the YouTube chat has commented yet to see what the wordle could be. I thought scare might be it, but S and C are not in play anymore. I feel there has to be there has to be a vowel here, no? I before E except after yeah. Like I figure that the second letter has to be a vowel. So we're looking at WHARE, where might be a word you say, but not a word that's certainly spelled correctly in that scenario. H might make sense in that second hole. Hare, HARE, but what would go in front of it? UARE. I'll tell you what, I'm kind of stuck here. Wow. I didn't even think that was a word. Oh, man, we're down to the last line, too. I feel like we've used up a ton of different options here. I feel like we've really given it quite a go with these different combinations. If it's just me, am I like a Dumbo Wumbo? I can't figure this out, or what's the deal? I think you got it. I think you got it, Peebles. I think you've got it. Clutch time from half court. Thank you. That's good. You know what? The double letter always gets me. I have such like a one-track mind where I'm like, I already used it. I can't use it again. It's already been used. Like, what an absolute moonshot. That was wonderful. That took way too long for us to figure out, but I'm glad we got there. Chat, Peebles, what a Wordle victory for the stream today. That one felt good after getting right down to the very end. Right down to the very end. It was going to make me sick if we didn't get it. I would have Googled it. I would have Googled what the answer was today. Oh, goodness gracious me, oh my. Oh, man. That's about all I have for today, to be really honest with you guys. I don't, it was a busy weekend for me. Being a part of the weekend in the racing world was kind of tough, but was glad I got to catch Kansas. So if I hit request up, you'll bring me up then? On the live? I don't even know how to go live with somebody on TikTok. I don't even know how to do it. It doesn't show that to me in the scheduler. That's why I tried to do it like in a schedule, like through those forms. This way we can talk and then put it up there. Especially too that it's dual platform, right? So like TikTok is, I mean, I get a lot of more engagement on TikTok. but there are other platforms that we go live on for these Tuesday morning shows. We go live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter/X as well. So I try to like keep it where, how do I balance it across all of those platforms? And just going live on TikTok isn't going to let me do that. Oh boy. Then I always like to do like a little social recap too, where I look at like, what was NASCAR Twitter mad about this weekend? You know? Kyle Larson with 32 career wins ties Dale Jarrett for 29th on the NASCAR Cup Series all-time wins list. That's going to be pretty big. Guy's definitely going to win a lot of races. Kyle Larson's going to be one of those guys. It'd be wild to see how many wins he could have had, like given like a previous generation of car. For the third time in his career, Chase Elliott has finished top 20 in the first 12 races of the season. He's now the only driver in NASCAR Cup Series history to accomplish this feat 3 times. I love this social content from RFK this week too, where they were recording the race on a Nintendo 3DS. I'd love to know what thrift store or what drawer they pulled it out of to do that, because I haven't seen a Nintendo 3DS in forever. At Kansas, Denny Hamlin recorded back-to-back DNFs for the first time since the summer of 2013, 424 starts ago. This was the third most races a driver has ever gone without having a back-to-back DNF. Kevin Harvick was 643 races. Dale Earnhardt was 475 races, and Denny Hamlin with 424. That's interesting. Those are the kind of stats that I would never think to look up or be interested in until they were presented to me. And then I'm like, huh, that's super cool. Unbelievable. The 19 car, too, doing well this weekend. It was good to see them make a push. I always wonder, like, and I try not to talk a ton about the 19 because I was like a super biased Truex fan for a long time. But like, do we think Briscoe is performing better than Truex was in Truex's last year versus Briscoe's first year? Or in the 19. Do we think that that's like a comparable? Those 2 years are comparable right now? I don't think they are. I think Truex still had better. Somebody posted about it, and I think that 19 team, like, you search for like what may be the issue there, and I never know what the right answer is anymore. I never know what the right thing was. Let's see if I can find that graphic. Our friend over at, make sure I give credit to the right person. See if I can find it. Pull it up. Boom, boom. Okay. Nope. Not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. No, it was not the correct. This is not the correct count. I can't find it now. But I always wonder about what the issues with the 19 team are. And I wonder if Truex would be running better in that car, even with the struggles, I wonder what life would be like, but we can wonder. Anyway, all right. It's almost 10 o'clock. I appreciate everybody who stopped in this morning. It was kind of a light week for us. The not having the Xfinity series, we haven't done a show this year where we haven't covered at least 2 of the 3 series. So it's I wish there was more to talk about. To be honest with you. Kansas, I think, has not lost its luster. To recap, kind of today, Kansas really hasn't lost its luster at all. I think there's good racing to be had there. It's just going to really depend on how these teams can come correct to come after Hendrick at these mile and a halves, and it could have just as easily been a 1, 2, 3, 4 Hendrick finish today as it could be at any other mile and a half the rest of this year. So, I hope it's a signal to other teams to wake up and get going. Try to really pick up and go and get after the 5 team. But we're on to North Wilkesboro next weekend for the All-Star race, which will be exciting. We'll be back here again on Tuesday morning. Hopefully the stream ran really well today. We had some issues last week where the internet was just not having it. And we'll break down some of the All-Star stuff after next week. There'll be lots to talk about in terms of, what was going on in the Cars Tour, in the Modifieds. We'll talk a little bit about the Truck Series, as well as the Cup Heats and the Open and the All-Star race for that million smackaroos. Again, if you are voting in your fan vote, Carson Hocevar's your man. Get Carson. I want to see Carson flipping off Logano on the final lap to win a milli. I don't think we'll actually get that, but wouldn't that just be an image that you'd just burn into your mind forever? Wouldn't that be just wild? Would certainly be something else. But if anybody's going to North Wilkesboro, have a good time. Have a couple of adult beverages on my behalf. And if you want to fill out your forms on Google, on the old Google Forms, we'll get some guests in here starting hopefully next week. I have 1 or 2 that I already have that I want to get scheduled, and we'll get ripping and rolling. So appreciate everybody who stopped in this morning. I know this is kind of a long haul early on a Tuesday. There's 53 of you on the ATYL channels. There's another handful here on TikTok, but we really had to really try to get these things going in the morning and get everybody started off their week on the right foot. In the meantime, though, throughout the rest of the week, I'm going to try to pick up the ball again on doing some shorter form content that aren't just clips from the stream. I'd like to get back into that cadence again now that we're getting into the middle of the season. This is the high point of the season. Oh, see, there you go. There's even news breaking now. Cody Ware is going to drive the Rick Ware Racing number 15 in the Open, and Harrison Burton will drive the 51 in the All-Star race. There you go. Look at that. From our friends over at Green Flag Pit Stop. They got the news. He's got the news. But yeah, we'll be locked back in again on Tuesday after the All-Star weekend. And we'll catch you then. Make sure you're checking out everything on ATYL Media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Happy Hour Racing, happyhourracing.com. Support the partners that support ATYL and support the creators here. If you're interested in Cars Tour stuff, I know we talked a lot about Cars Tour today. Check out everything Buddy's doing. There's all kinds of new content going up on the YouTube channel all the time. So squeak your way over there. Check